Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car modeling tutorial. And today in this episode what I think we'll do is we're going to have maybe a go at doing the A-frame, the A-pillar up here, and maybe have a go at the roof. That shouldn't be too difficult. And then we'll maybe do some smaller components around the side here. We do have the door handle to do still, so we'll do that at some point. But we'll come back to that in a little bit. We'll probably do stuff like that, all the really details when we're doing all the grills and the lights and things. What I will say first is I did say that in between the episodes I had a weird little kind of lump in my geometry here, and that's because I had it kind of looking like this. We had our lines going and we're merging to this portion here, so the smoothness, the subdivisions was affecting this face a little bit. So what I did instead, if you guys are having the same problem, was I drew a line to go down here. So I drew in this line here, which connects to the top portion of that instead of this edge, because we only want to make sure we're strengthening one of the sides. And then I did another line that ran down here, and then I just reflected that same line in the body parts down there just to make sure it's going to flow nicely through there, which should be fine. Let me just re-smooth these real quick. Okay, so one thing that I noticed in, I was having a look at some reference images, and there's a few things in here that I'm not too sure about. Firstly, this line here, I did a little test render that I put up on the other channel, 850 Tutorials. A little bit of a test render, and it wasn't too predominant, and I can't decide if it wasn't predominant enough or not. So we'll maybe come back to that one and see. I do like the way that it looks, but I think it might need to be a little bit steeper. And then one more thing to note, which turned out really nice in the test render, was the way that the mesh down here kind of comes from there and flows down the door, which is something else I was a little bit worried about, where it kind of kicks down there. That seems to have come out quite nicely, which is good. What we're going to do is, I did notice that down here we need to add a little bit more strength. So I'm just going to hit 1 on my keyboard here to unsmooth these elements. And I think this will be a quick fix. I'm going to need to do all of these here. What we're going to do is I'm going to insert an edge loop. That's from a previous project. Let me just reset that back to a single relative loop. I'm going to drop one in, maybe something like that. I'm going to drop that loop in just there. We will need to do that to all of the kind of corresponding parts. So I'll bring that here, like so. And then let's just hit 3 on the keyboard here, and we'll see how that's looking. So we can see now we've got more definition there. In the actual car it does have a little bit of definition there, so that's fine. And then I'm going to run off up the top. So that's looking much better. I think the front end is looking good for the most part, which is fine. So let's have a think about what we're going to do running up the front of this car then here. So we've got quite a lot of the way through in terms of smoothing the elements. We've got practically the whole front of the car done. Basically from this point backwards, we've still got a lot of work to do, especially got a lot of work to do at the top here. That's probably the bit I'm looking least forward to. And then at the back here as well. So what we'll do is we'll put that off a little bit longer, and we'll go and work down the frame here. Now there are some details as part of the A-pillar up here. We did add them in up here. We've got the little kind of rubber area as well. So what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to create like a little bit of a rubber seam. We can see on my images here that we do have like the rubber section which seals the window. We do have a panel gap up here as well. And then we have obviously the panel gap that runs all the way around, a little bit of body coloured area inside there. So I think what we'll do is let's go and grab all of these frontal faces, because we are going to make that little rubber area first. So we'll grab all of these here. I'm going to hit Control E, and I'm just going to pull out on the blue. And can't really pull down on the red there, so I'm just going to come and pull out on the blue just a little bit there. And then I think what we'll need to do is we'll need to run in and just do this maybe edge by edge or vertices by vertices. So I'm going to just jump in here, grab that new vertices. I'm just going to pull that lower down And I'm going to use my edge transform as well, just so that it's going to stay reflecting the same geometry there. I'm just going to pull this down the whole way, so it might take a second or two. And it's important to have the edge transform on here, so that we're not affecting the actual nice flow of the geometry that we have already. Okay. And then I'm just going to get rid of this face down here. So that's the A-pillar area nailed inside there. Let's just jump into our top view real quick. It looks like we might need to create some additional geometry in here, so I'll have a look at some reference images. Obviously the wipers sit really low and down there, so there might be some kind of shroud in that area there which we'll need to consider. But for now I think we'll be okay. We'll do that probably as a separate component. So firstly then, let's get this side deleted, and what we'll do is we're going to go and we're going to duplicate special to that element there so that we can apply any changes that we have. I think what we want to do here is I'm going to grab these vertices, I'm going to remove my transform, I'm just going to hold X and we'll snap that into the center there. Okay. We already have a little bit going under there, so that's fine. So I think the first thing that we'll do then is let's maybe isolate this selection here. And we'll grab all of the different faces. So let's go, we'll probably grab these two in here. I'm just going to hit Control E down here, and I'm going to do that on the world, and we're just going to move and wiggle this along a little bit here. Okay. And then that should allow me to snap those vertices there. Okay, and I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. Looks like I may have snapped one too many vertices, so I'm going to bring that line in here. Get rid of that one. It's looking okay. And then this one here, I'm going to just pull behind there. So we're just trying to get a nice rim around all of this, just like we did with the previous panels. So let's grab all of these ones here. I'm going to hit Control E, and again on the world I'm going to pull in here on the X axis. Okay. So these ones are going to be fairly important because we need to remember we are going to do the interior of this car, so we don't want to make too much of a mess here. Obviously it will be covered by interior panels, but I'm going to go to Edit Mesh and merge on those. It's got a nice little lip going in there. And then I'm just going to grab these final ones here. Sometimes it's a bit easier to go in and do them all like this rather than do everything at once. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to do it kind of direction by direction, axis by axis. And then let's grab that on there. Okay, so that's running nicely around all of there. All those faces are looking good, so we're happy with that. Okay, so a few things then. We do have a panel gap. Let's see if we can see it on our blueprints, which we can. It's just here. So what we'll do is let's just grab this geometry and we'll just go to one side of that gap. We'll be able to drop an edge loop in for that. Okay, I'm liking it down here, but it's a bit too wide as we go further back there. So let's jump back in and isolate this. And I'm just going to hold down Control and hit delete on those, and then what we should be able to do, I'm just going to move this one just a little bit closer. As I've talked before, it is a modern car, so all these gaps on a modern car are quite thin. Let's go something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to select all of those and just hit delete to create that gap inside there. Okay, so that's looking good. We're going to want now to extrude these edges here. It's only a small area, so I'm just going to go in on the blue. That should align well enough for us, and then I'll be able to target weld those inside there. That's looking okay. It does look a little bit weird here. Just going to pull that in just a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to do the exact same. Let's grab all of these. I'm going to hit Control E, and I'm just going to pull on the blue. Okay. And then exact same process. I'm going to target weld those vertices here, and then around the other side as well. Perfect. Okay, so we have nice independent pieces here. I'm just having a look, and I think we probably actually want to have this line that runs around here. We actually want that to be independent as well. So I'm going to drop in edge loop really close, and then really close here as well. Okay, so I think that looks okay. Yeah, I think that should be fine. So let's maybe grab those associated faces and hit delete, and then we'll do the same with these ones. Okay, and then again we are going to want to grab these edges here. I'm going to hit Control E and pull on the blue, and it's just going to be a case of inside here we've just got these small areas here, so I'm going to grab and we're going to merge. I'm going to edit mesh and then merge, and do the same over here, and then we'll just check this other side too. So that's fine, but we don't want that extra face there. Okay, and then we're going to do the same in here, so let's grab all of these edges. Okay, I'm going to hit Control E, and hopefully we should be able with these just to go in on the blue again. Maybe not. It's not looking too tidy. Maybe what we'll do then is let's go for these ones and hit Control E, and then on the world I'm going to come in on that Z axis there, and I'll maybe move in on the X as well. We'll maybe try and reflect what we have down here with that gap, so we can see that that's lining up okay. So with those in, let's go in and I'm going to target weld to those original spots, because we know that they're decently located, which is fine. And then up here we'll grab the ones that we didn't just bring in. It's maybe, hopefully you guys are able to follow this a little bit. It's a bit awkward to get in and out of here. I'm just going to pull these down a little bit, just so it's a bit more organic in terms of its position in there. We can grab the rest of these edges, hit Control E, bring those in, and then it's going to be a case of just merging all of the vertices here as well. So I'm just going to target weld those new extrudes to the older ones, and then I'm going to do the same at the top here. Okay, so that was quite a lot of work inside there to get that in, but it's going to look good hopefully. once we're ready. So what we'll do now is let's have a think about getting this nice and smooth. So it's going to be a little bit awkward because we need this point, and as soon as we're going to hit smooth here, we're going to lose that point. So we do need to bring in some geometry to maintain that. So let's do that first. So I'm bringing an edge loop here that runs along the top, and I'm going to bring in an edge loop on here as well, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a point in just about here. I'll bring this edge loop up here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this edge, so we'll draw this in. Okay, we're going to attempt to run it around this corner here, like so, just to help sharpen that up. And then we're going to zoom in nice and close, and we're going to just target weld that down here, just to get rid of that triangle. Okay, so we see now that we've got that slight curvature in there, which is good. Okay, let's grab more edge loops, and then easily enough we're going to drop here and here, and here and here, just to help shore up that edge a little bit. So we can see now that that bit in there is looking pretty good. We're going to run some more. So we'll run along here and here, and then we're going to do the same down and around this corner. So we're going to run there. We need to be careful here because it's still going to run down, so that's good. I was going to say in case we caused an error up there, but we didn't, so we'll run one down here as well. Okay, so when I hit 3 on my keyboard, we can see that that's all running nicely where it should, which is good. Okay, I'm going to run some loops on the interior portion where our rubber faces are. I'm just having a look here, and I'm thinking that maybe what we might want to do with these is we might want to actually extract them. So maybe by the looks of it, let's drop in some loops here. I'm going to grab these edges and hit Ctrl E. I'm going to do this on the world, and I'm going to pull these forward only ever so slightly, something like that. And then let's grab all of these ones, hit Ctrl E, and we'll probably still want to do this on the world, something like that. Okay, so we've just got like a little lip there, and then for this rubber portion that we have, I think what we're going to do is let's go mesh and let's hit edit mesh, and we'll extract those. Oops. We want to go for the faces underneath as well. So let's go again. We'll grab all of this, and then all of these corresponding faces underneath. So we'll grab those and we'll say edit mesh and we'll extract those. And then we'll grab all of the corresponding faces underneath here too. Okay. And edit mesh and extract those too, just so that they're separate components. Because we want it to be something kind of like this. We've got like a little bulge over the top of those. Okay, so looks like I missed one here. I do want to take this one as well. Okay. Just going to take that back into position, and then I'll quickly merge these ones too. Okay, so we can see that's looking a bit better. So we can see that ridge running along there is much better, so that's fine. So let's maybe grab our insert edge loop tool. We'll maybe drop one just here and here, just to help shore up that little lip. So we can see that we've just got a little bit of a lip there that's going to run along, so that looks like it should be okay now. And then we obviously want to do the same with what we have done here. But I think we don't want to add too much more to that in terms of geometry. Because we can see we've got that nice little lip, and then we've got that rubber section underneath, so that's looking pretty good. Got an extra face in here which I'll delete. Okay, so I'm looking all along here and I'm thinking that's looking quite nice. The only thing we're going to want to do now is just run a few more loops. We're going to drop ones at the bottom here, like so. And then we want to drop the same on here as well. Okay, and then we're going to drop on this inner edge like we did everywhere else. So we'll drop on here, we'll drop on here. Let's maybe drop one on there just in case. And then we'll just want to run and do the same up here as well. Here, here, and then here. Okay. So we've got a lot of intersecting loops there, a lot of different stuff going on, but I think that's looking quite good. And then once we bring back in the rest of the car, we can see that's looking nice. So let's think about then getting these duplicated over. So we've got multiple components there. Okay. So we can see that in there. That's looking really good as part of that. And then what we'll do, let's add some materials to this. A lot of the Audis have different colors, so we can see we've got this extra darker blend down here. So I think that's what I'll apply to my one. And then I've got the Lamberts that I can put the darker Lambert in here and in here. It's looking pretty nice. Let's go again over here as well. Get a little bit closer. So that's looking quite nice. Got that section in there looking pretty good. When it comes to obviously adding the interior, we'll be adding interior girth to that as well. But I think for the most part that's looking quite nice. What we could do at this stage is we could maybe do some of the smaller components towards the back here. We do have a slice that we need to make in this kind of rear quarter panel area. We can see that we've got one just here. So let's maybe do that first. So let's have a go, just get my references down to that area down here. So let's maybe get this all, I'm just going to put my edge slide on here We just want to get all of this to be sitting on one side of this line, so we'll go for the top. Okay. Something like that. So because of the aliasing on the actual drawing, we'll offset that a little bit. And let's go for edge loop. We'll drop this nice and close. Maybe that's a bit too close. Okay. And then let's simply grab all these spaces here and we'll hit delete. It's got a nice panel gap just there, and then I'm going to go for mesh and then separate. So we can take that panel away. And then we've also obviously got this area here that we can have a think about. I'm just going to make sure that that's still snapped just there. Okay, so let's maybe think about this panel then. Let's get this duplicated special. So I've got one on the other side. Let's maybe get rid of that, just so we know that we haven't finished that one yet. Okay, so firstly, we're going to want to do what we usually do. I'm going to grab all of these here. Let's maybe just isolate the selection real quick. Because it's a side panel, it's going to be nice and easy to just go in on this one side. We don't want to go too far because we do have the wheel arch here, and we don't want to offset that too much. So we'll grab all of that, which should be fine. First thing, let's go down here because we know we're going to need here. And I think what we did before on the front one is we used the bevel tool and we brought this down really small, and then we added 2 segments. So let's do something like that. Just make sure that's super nice and tight. And what we also did was we dropped one just nice and close here as well. Let's drop a nice easy one here too. And then we're going to want one to run all the way down here, but we do have a tricky point with this section there. So let's maybe draw that in first. Okay. And then that will allow me to grab my insert edge loop to go over here, nice and close to the bottom. Whilst we're here, let's drop one there as well. We can drop our edge loop nice and close to the bottom over here. And then with our multi-cut tool, we'll go in over here and run all the way to bridge that gap. And then nice and close with our vertex, and we can merge those ones together. Okay. I think we'll want to do 2 more. I'm going to insert an edge loop on this inner side here. I'm not sure about the rest, so let's kind of bring in the context, let's bring in everything else. I'm going to hit 3 on here. So we can see that's coming up there nicely. I'm going to hit 1 on the door and then a 1 on here. We can see that we actually have multiple loops running up and around there. So let's grab in our insert edge loop, and we're going to run one up and around, just like the door. We're just going to go up here. Okay. So we can see now this panel's looking nice. We've got that extra little lip going up and around here, which is good. We've got some definition for our wheel arch. Obviously it's still fairly flat, this portion. We're going to get more definition as we go up there, so that's looking good. Looking fine around here with the side skirt. So that's all looking really good. So that was a nice quick component there. So let's quickly throw on our blim. I am going to change the color of this a little bit just so we can see imperfections a little bit easier. Maybe reduce that one down just a little bit. And then of course we're going to want to run around the other side, and we can drop that blim on there too. Alright guys, so I think we're looking good just here then. So we managed to get this portion around here with our window, our A-frame and our seal. I think what we'll do is we'll have a look about what's going to go in this region down here. I imagine it's some form of cowling or shroud. We're looking good down this area too, which we managed to get going. A nice simple part, which looks good. So I think in the next episode what we'll do is we'll maybe think about this portion here. We'll think about maybe the roof might actually be a good one, because again we're just moving from front to back, which might be quite nice. So we'll maybe do the air intake, the roof, and then we'll see where we go from there. Alright guys, so if you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Subscribe if you're new, if you want to keep up to date with all the different projects. Apart from that, I will see you guys in the next one.